It's Kings versus Commoners in the second semi-final of the Champions Cup. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. Yeah, so this one really does feel, at least historically, a bit of a mismatch. It doesn't mean that it's going to be that way once the two teams play that 80 minutes of rugby tomorrow. But you got Toulouse, undoubtedly the Kings are your 5 times champions, been in so many semi-finals, it's hard to even list them all off, versus Harlequins, who up until this season hadn't even won a knockout game at this level. So obviously their first semi-final appearance, and to go against the team who've been there, done that, makes it even more daunting for them as well. And you just look at this and think, well, Toulouse, not just, and it's not just historically either, it's this Toulouse team as well, have made it to so many semi-finals and finals that you're thinking, it's this game is Toulouse's to lose. I did not mean to make that pun, but it's very hard not to with the name. But we're gonna do what we did in our other video, or the preview of Leinster and Northampton. We're gonna talk about, first of all, the kind of details of the game, as in time, etc. We're then going to go through the teams. We're going to talk about how the teams got to this stage, how the teams are doing as well at the moment, kind of form wise, and then how I see the game going. So I'm going to start with, as I said, the details. So this is semi-final number 2. It's on Sunday the 5th of May, and this one is a 3:00 kickoff, and this is in the Stadium de Toulouse. Thank you to, let me see if I can pull up the name of the person, because somebody corrected me. And I like people who point stuff out. If I get something wrong, in a nice way. Sometimes you get assholes, but Norman Stewart was very nice, just pointing out that it's actually it's the football stadium in Toulouse, and not Stade Ernest Wallon obviously is Toulouse's home stadium. So this one, and you just reminded me as well about the famous Leinster win against Toulouse there as well, where Dennis Hickey scored. It was a nice try in the corner, but it's just the Hickey for the corner is kind of such a memorable piece of commentary as well. And it was kind of when I remember, back then being a Leinster fan, and always kind of thinking, can Leinster reach the levels that Munster have done in the past? And this is where I kind of, I think a lot of Leinster fans started to believe that it was possible to do that. So, great venue from a Leinster fan point of view, but also I think from Toulouse as well. They generally don't lose too many games, whether it's at the Stade Ernest Wallon or the Stade Toulousain. Either way, they would fancy themselves playing in their home city. But what we're going to do now is we are going to look at the teams. We're going to start with the Toulouse team. So let me pull that up. I thought I had it ready. Not quite. So let me just bear with me a second. It won't take too long, because I do have it in a convenient place. Although my computer is like, yeah, well, you've got to get in a convenient place, but I'm not letting you open it. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start, as I said, with the Toulouse team. And front row, Cyril Bay, Peter Mavaka, Dorian Aldaheri. Second row, Thibaut Flamand, Emmanuel Maufu. Back row then, Francois Cross, Jack Willis, Alexander Romain. The backs then, half backs, Anton Dupont and Roman Entamac. Left wing, Matis Labelle, Peter Aki in the centres beside Paul Costes, Juan Cruz Malia on the right wing, and Blair Kinghorn at full back. On the bench then, we've got Julian Marchand, and we've got Netty, Merkler, Arnaud, Castro, Grau, Chocobares, and Ramos. So a stacked bench there as well. And the fact that, that they have the choice of starting either Kinghorn or Ramos as well there at full back. And that's kind of in terms of the selection news for Toulouse. That was it. Was kind of Kinghorn being preferred over Ramos at fullback. But it's such a stacked team. Look at that front row. Absolutely amazing, brilliant player, great threat at the breakdown. Mo Vaca, so dynamic around the field. Al-Lahiri, a brilliant carrier. Second row then, Flamand. He's just a bit of a Rolls Royce of a second row, really. Got Miafu, maybe not to the same level of Flamand, but he's not that far off either. Kroos, got to be one of the best back rows in the world. Jack Willis has been in absolutely outstanding form, and a lot of calls for exceptions to be made for him to be picked for England because he's just that good. And then Roma, maybe not, in terms of his name being up to the level of Kroos and Willis, but he's had some really good performances as well. Dupont then, best player in the world, and whether he wins World Player of the Year every year or not, I think just consistently over the last 5-6 years, whatever many years he's been at the top level, he is the best player in the world. Other players come up to that level, but he always stays up there. And it's if you're going to win Player of the Year, you got to outperform him for a year, basically, because not many can outperform him for more than that. He's kind of on the level of the likes of Surveyor, etc., where they're just always exceptional. 8 out of 10 is almost a bad game for them. They're just that good. He's been in the sevens program as well this year too, so maybe picked up a few extra tricks there, which makes him even scarier. But yeah, the guy is just phenomenal. Then you got Roman Ntamack beside him, who, if Dupont wasn't in this team, we'd be talking about him being the X factor, as it were, in the back line. He's just another exceptional player as well. Matis Labelle, he's a player who he's kind of very close to, he has obviously played for France, but I think he was kind of close to being at that level to be a consistent starter. But then you have, you've obviously got Pinot, and then you got BLBRE, both at Bordeaux, preferred for France, but this guy is still an exceptional player. Peter Aki, maybe, you look at all the star names in this team, and maybe one that might get overlooked, but the guy has had, especially this season, exceptional season for Toulouse. He's come up with some really big plays in this Champions Cup so far this year, and I expect him to keep on doing that as well. Paul Costes, haven't seen too much of him beside Aki, but he has, what I've seen of him, he has looked pretty decent. Then you got Juan Cruz Malia, another amazing option to have out there on the wing. He loves as well to go looking for work. He's not kind of a lazy winger as well, so expect him to come in off his wing. Then talking about coming in and joining the line, Blair Kinghorn, he's going to do that all day from fullback. Going to be a second distributor. He's got that pace as well to be a real worry to defences. If he gets in behind you, you're not catching him. He's going to get over for the try, and because he has that dual threat of he can run past you and leave you for dead, or he can put a pass to put somebody else by you, and they're going to leave you for dead. And he's, him coming into the line has got to be like a real worry for defenses as well. He's obviously got to do his defensive duties as well, but he's been fairly solid for that. Then on the bench, like to have the likes of like Marchand, Netty to come on there. You got Choco Barres, excellent player as well. Tomo Ramos to come on at full back is it's such a luxury. Looking at this team, and even the rest of the bench, like that we haven't touched on, are all quality players as well. But it's a Toulouse team. They're going to be stacked full of quality, and this one is no different. So we're going to now have a look at the Harlequins team. So Harlequins team, front row is Finn Baxter, Jack Walker, Will Collier. Second row then Ernie Hurst, Stephen Lewis. Then back row Chandler Cunningham South, Will Evans, Alex Dombrant. Halfbacks then Danny Kerr, Marcus Smith. Left wing Caden Murley. The centres then Andre Esterhazen and Luke Northmore. Lewis Lina on the right wing and Tyrone Green at full back. On the bench then they have Riley Marler, Carrode, Hammond, Chisholm, Porter, Evans and Beard. So in terms of selection news for them, we've got Danny Kerr is in for Will Porter at scrum half, so obviously bringing tons of experience with him. Luke Northmore is preferred at centre to Oscar Beard, and then Joe Marler has come onto the bench as well, so we got his experience coming on there. You've also got, if things are going against you, sometimes his mouth can get him in trouble, or his antics as well, so you have to kind of watch out for that. But first of all, let's start with the front row: Baxter, Walker, Collier. They have done decently in this competition, but it's going to be a big test for them now against what is essentially a French front row, French test team front row. So it's going to be, they're going to really have to step up, those guys, and at least get parity in the scrum. Then second row, Herbst and Louis as well, like Flamand and Miapu are really going to put that line out under pressure, so they're going to have to be on their toes on that. Cunningham South has been excellent anytime we've seen him this year, and he really has been, for me at least, a bit of a revelation. Just notice him a lot more this year, and every time I see him, he's done well. Will Evans is decent. Alex Dombrant, another player, having a brilliant season as well. They're going to want him to have real impact in his carries as well if they're to get anything out of this game. Then Danny Kerr, he's got to use all that experience. Sometimes he can come up with some silly stuff as well, even though he has tons of experience. So he's got to keep that under control and just deliver the opposite Dupont as well. He's got to deliver again. Keep that ball quick. Be very cognizant of the chances to counter as well. Like that's where I think this Harlequin team really comes alive, is when they get turnover ball. And then Marcus Smith there, he's just going to come up with some sublime plays during this, but also you want him to, not just that, he's going to add a little bit extra as well, in terms of making sure that his team are playing in the right areas of the field as well. Caden Murley, a real threat out on the wing. Andre Esterhazen has had, a real fantastic season for them as well. Really impactful in his carries and always looking for the offload too. So him and Aki, both inside centres, it's going to be a big battle with them. Luke Northmore, it's a big responsibility for him coming into the team. So he's got to deliver on this one. Lewis Lina, another threat out there on the wing. I've been impressed with him when I've seen him as well. And then Tyrone Green there at fullback. He's got to be solid under those Dupont box kicks, and also he's got to make sure that he picks his time to come up into the line as well in support. On the bench then, Marler, obviously a big name on there, and he can be positive and negative as I've said. Quins will obviously hope that we see the best of him there. We also got Chisholm there, who another one maybe feels a little unlucky to lose out on selection of this one, but when he comes on, he will add. Same with Porter, I think, at 9 there as well. And honestly, the same goes as well for Beard. Beard, I thought, did well in the centre, so I'm interested to see how Esterhuizen and Northmore go in this one. So those are your 2 teams. So now we're going to look at how these teams actually ended up at this stage of the competition. So we're going to start with Toulouse. So in the pool stages, first up, very easy win at home, 52-7 against Cardiff. Then they went away and they absolutely spanked Quins at the Twickenham Stoop. So that's going to still be in both teams' memories for this one. So, Quins looking for a bit of revenge, but Toulouse will have that confidence knowing that they've already, beaten this team well previously this season. Then another really good win against Ulster away. Ulster were obviously in a bit of disarray at the time, but even Ulster, if they had been firing, I think Toulouse were definitely going to win that game, just maybe by a few less points. And then a really good win too against Bath, 31 points to 19. Bath at that stage of the season were in some really good form as well. On to the knockout stages then. 31-7 in the round of 16 against Racing 92, and Racing for me probably the most similar style team to Harlequins, and Toulouse handled them pretty easily. Quarterfinals then, 64 points to 26 against an Exeter Chiefs team who probably outperformed themselves this year, if we're honest. Everyone, they got to the semi-final last year. They lost to La Rochelle, but they completely rebuilt their squad. Nobody expected them to get to the quarterfinals this year. If we're honest, we thought maybe they would kind of limp into the round of 16 and go out there, or maybe even be eliminated at the pool stages. But they defied expectation. But Toulouse were a step too far for them, and Toulouse are just so good at that they never take the foot off the throat. They never let a team have a chance to come back into the game simply because they've taken their foot off the gas. They just keep going full pelt, and they make it so that a team has to fight their way back into the contest there, and it makes it so much harder then to come back against Toulouse, because they're always, we talked about Quins on the counter-attack, Toulouse the same, always looking for that chance on turnover ball to just rip you apart, and that's what they're going to look for here with the style that I think Quins play as well. So let's have a look then at how Quins got to the semi-finals. So for them, 31 points to 28 against Racing. A little bit, more difficult for them against that one, but that was an exceptional game as well. There was just 2 teams, going at each other and throwing the ball around. It was really entertaining to watch. Then that 47-19 loss at the Stoop against Toulouse, so that one definitely would have stung them. But then recovered well from that, 54 points to 15. Against Cardiff in Cardiff Arms Park, just showed that they could bounce back from that, and a really good win against Ulster as well to round off the pools, 47 points to 19. Again, would have built some confidence back up there into the round of 16. A really good game, actually, 28 points to 24 against Glasgow. Again, 2 teams who like to run the ball, and Quins just had that little bit extra, and their finishing in that game as well was exceptional. exceptional, and they're going to need that, I think, against Toulouse as well. They're not going to want to leave too many points out there on the field. Then the quarterfinals, 42 points to 41 against Bordeaux Begla, a really good result for Quins, despite I had someone in my comments in my I did like a preview of the entire round, and somebody in my comments pretty much accusing me of being an English fan and not giving Toulouse enough respect. Who was it? It was Mahasa Matman or something. Basically saying that Bordeaux without Jalabert and Pinot are not quite the same, which is true. But you look at the rest of the players that have in that back line, and they're no slouches either. They're not the only two exceptional players in that back line. So I still count that as a brilliant win for Quins, especially when you look at the history of Quins, that it's first time for them, to be progressing in the knockout stages, and to go away to France is always tough for English teams or Irish teams, or any, I guess, like you don't see too many, unfortunately, other teams in the knockout stages going to France yet. We're going to see certainly more South African teams doing that in the future, but yeah, always a tough place to go, and against a team who were definitely the surprise package of the pool stages, breezed through the pools, and we're looking in sublime. And then for Quins to go over there and in a very high scoring game to come out like just that 1 point win, but still it had to have boosted their confidence hugely. But one thing from this guy's couple of comments that he made was that one good thing for me, I think I'll take out of it, was that I'm a Leinster fan, and I always try and not show too much Leinster bias in my coverage. And the fact that he thought I was English, maybe I did a decent job on that, because I covered the Leinster game in that one as well. So that's one positive from that. But yeah, listen, no Jalabert and Pinot, definitely bad news for Bordeaux, but still, I think an excellent victory for Harlequins to go over there and pull that off. Then that's where we are today, right? Or like with our semi-final lineup is Toulouse versus Quins. That's how both teams got here. So what about recent form? So Toulouse at the moment are setting in second place in the top 14. I think they're 2 points behind. It's Stade Francais, right? Yes, Stade Francais are winning or leading the table at the moment. And the most recent game was a pretty easy win. It was 30 odd points to 32 points to 12 against Racing 92 as well. So another great warm-up for this game, playing a team like Racing 92 that plays such a similar style to Harlequins, and Toulouse dealt with that very easily. But they're not the only one of these two teams that are coming in on some decent form, because Quins just beat Northampton Saints, who are top of the Premiership, 41 points to 32, and that was at Twickenham, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it wasn't Twickenham Stoop. It was actually at Twickenham. Yeah. So really good win for them. At the moment, Quins are sitting 5th place in the Premiership, but that win again would have been a huge boost for them coming into this, just thinking, okay, Saints, another team that made the semi-final, they're sitting top of the Premiership, but they were still able to outscore them and produce that. But again, let's talk about how I think this game is going to go. So Toulouse, I don't know what else I have to say to give them the proper credit, but I keep calling them the Kings of Europe, and there's a reason for that. Because for me, they historically absolutely best team in Europe, and nobody can deny that. Even if Leinster get do get a fifth star, they've still got a way to go to catch up on Toulouse, just in terms of the absolute breadth of their history. And even recently, they keep making semi-finals and finals, and like they've of all the teams as well, in left in the tournament, they're the most recent winners of this tournament too. So that's another thing to keep in mind as well. Leinster may have made the last two finals, but Toulouse are the ones that have lifted the trophy most recently. So if that's enough, somebody tell me what else I need to say just to make it clear how much respect I have for this Toulouse team. Quins, they're the only thing that I can see to their advantage is the fact that this is just something completely new to them. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes a team can just waltz in, and because nobody's expecting them to win, and everybody's thinking Toulouse are going to absolutely destroy them, it takes the pressure off, and they're able to perform, and suddenly they cause a shock. And if Harlequins do win this game, it is going to be like a monumental shock. It's probably going to be like, is this too much to say, the biggest shock in Champions Cup semi-final history? I'm trying to think back, like, have we had other ones that would have been more of a shock, because you got a first timer in the semi-final against, again, the team that has the best history in the competition of all time, and are, like, in recent years as well, have always been going deep into this competition and have been there or thereabouts for winning the title as well. So given all of that, I've got to back Toulouse to win this one. And, I think Quins are going to give it a real go. And we're going to see, I think Quins have a purple patch where Marcus Smith just gets them humming, and they're going to score a few tries. But Toulouse have that ability that they're a team that can go again, that you have a purple patch, they lift themselves again. Quins score 2 or 3 tries on the bounce, and it looks like they're coming back at Toulouse, and then Toulouse go and score 2 or 3 tries, and suddenly the margin is back there again, and Quins are back to maybe getting another consolation score before the end or something like that. That's kind of how I feel the game is going to go. I think it's going to be fairly entertaining, because again, both teams like to run the ball. Toulouse though have that ability also, like, just to absolutely just crush you with their power as well. I think the fact that they have kind of more, like, Quins to me are a fantastic attacking team and they have a decent pack, but Toulouse have an exceptional pack and they're a fantastic attacking team. And because of that, I think that's what's going to be the difference between the two teams. I think it's going to be a Toulouse win in this one. Okay, so that is the end of that one. I've got the preview of the Leinster Northampton game as well. That should be up live at this stage, because I'm rendering it while I'm recording this. So it's definitely going to go up before this video. And we will have reviews of both games, coming out on Saturday for the Leinster Northampton game, and then on Sunday for this one. Then on Monday we'll have a wrap up as well. We'll do a wrap up on Monday or maybe Tuesday of the Challenge Cup semi-finals as well. There's a preview of those on the channel too if you want to watch that. So plenty of rugby content there for you to consume before the games, and there's going to be plenty for you again after. And again, it's Champions Cup semi-finals. It's for me one of the best rugby days of the year, and I hope you guys enjoy it.